more heinous crimes against people because at a very young age, they have learned to violate, their bodies were violated, so they learned to violate other people, their bodies, or people nations-wise. You know, once you become a leader, now you can hurt people on a much larger scale. So that's one part of the big concern that I have regarding corporal punishment. A lot of people who are in jail, a lot of people who who have shot people from, you know, just random shootings that go on. Many of these people have been abused in their childhood. And so it's sad that people think this is not a big deal. If we were to go back in history and list all the people from as far back as Hitler to people to this day, the amount of people that these victims end up harming down the road is enormous. It's a rare thing for a person who has been raised without physical abuse to then go out as an adult and abuse others. That's a very rare thing.
Well, fortunately, we do not have to deal with that, but I am aware that there is a much heavier police presence in our schools. And as well as, you know, CPS is very much involved in the school system nowadays, and corporal punishment and the objectifying of the children seems to be, you know, what we see in the media, you know, as far as conditioning them younger and younger, you know, about sexuality and imposing on them things of that nature at a younger and younger age. And, you know, I think that, you know, you would think Child Protective Services would be against objectifying the children and having that sort of thing in the media, regardless of, you know, whether it's gender fluid, gender neutral, you know, whatever. But that seems to be the only images that we see lately.
Yes.
And and CPS, Child Protective Services, seems to be condoning that.
Yeah.
And I just find it really sad because, you know, obviously these children are being objectified younger and younger when they're and when they're displaced from their homes and put into foster care. Automatically these children are sort of objectified as well. Yeah. So there's just all of this in our culture, in our society, and it's really harmful to our boys that are trying, you know, that are becoming young men.
Yes. And it goes on, it starts at an early age and it goes right on up into high school years. And it's really sad that I have had several people help with the Hitting Stops here over the years. We're talking 14 years now of activism. And I'll tell you the truth, almost every single man that decided to help with the Hitting Stops here has been a victim of corporal punishment in schools. And it does cause sexual confusion. You have a man beating a man, or you have a woman beating, a man beating a little boy. You have women beating little boys. Sometimes they take their pants and hike them up as tightly as they can in their buttocks and just beat away. And I'll be honest with you, it does cause sexual confusion. I have had several men who have been a part of this over these 14 years. And a lot of times some people start and they leave, and they start and they leave. And many have come simply because they have been victims of this. And several, you know, have become homosexual because of the fact that they had this kind of experience. I mean, when you think about porn stars oftentimes have gone through being beaten. and they grow up and they like this kind of thing, or they're addicted or attracted, or they may hate it and they love it, and it causes all kinds of confusion. And there's no escape because the school board allows it, the governor allows it, everybody allows it, although if you look in our U.S. Constitution, it is already considered illegal. It's against the law, even in our U.S. Constitution. And the sad thing is that this is perpetuating because en masse people say that's somebody else's problem. But if you research like I said, mass murderers, or like even the man that was at the Las Vegas shootout, the man that shot people who were attending a concert, and he was in a hotel room. I can't remember that. It was pretty big. I can't remember the name of the hotel.
Yeah, and then you have these school shootings as well. The bullying in the schools. Mm-hmm. It's gotten to be younger and younger, and an issue mm-hmm. as well. And all of this is a result of the way that we're treating our children, the way we're betraying them betraying. No, I don't know if I'm saying the word right. Betraying them in the media,
portraying them? You mean the way they're portrayed in, or how do you mean that?
Yeah, portrayed. I was getting that word out.
No
I can't say that word. Portray.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think that we shouldn't be imposed. I just feel like we shouldn't be imposing this sexuality on our children at all in any way. But it's disturbing to me, and it's nice to see something wholesome out there, and I don't really. I think what's most concerning is the escalation of a more mm-hmm. like, how do I put this? Like indoctrination instead of education in our system, right. As well as more of a police presence. So there's there's like a jail sort of feel to some of the schools nowadays. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Oh, I do, because as a school teacher, I'm seeing this. When I go to I've taught in at least 6 states by now, and I see exactly what you're talking about, Amelia. And the thing that's so sad is that word indoctrinating that you used. I agree with that. These children do not need all of this security. And when I taught in the state of Georgia, the students had to carry see-through backpacks. I mean, they cannot even have privacy, and we're talking about an elementary school. And we're talking about an elementary school where kids are being hit by their teachers. And so it's really sad. And even as you're saying, when they walk in, or if there's that security screening that they have to go through, it's like creating, hey, there's crime here. We're trying to keep you safe. And a lot of it is just a facade that they're creating, and it makes you feel like, okay, well, we really, really do need this. No, we don't really, really need this. We are creating a culture of violence, and then we're acting like, well, we have to have these strongholds, lock kids up. I mean, there is a boy in the state of Mississippi that I read about. I mean, he's so little. He did some little school infraction, and the police were called and put handcuffs on him, and he's like 7 years old. So we're a little bit out of control with what's right and what's wrong. I mean, it's wrong to beat kids like they beat our former U.S. slaves on plantations. Why are they doing that?
There was one story where there was a child, I think a boy, that had autism, the last show that we did, where a police totally body slammed him on the security camera, and it was censored from my Facebook page. But
no,
yeah, this was just when we had our last podcast. But you know, there's just really excessive measures being taken where these kids are being treated like, you know, they're being arrested, they're being subjected to really extreme sort of tactics, you know. And because we have security cameras and we have so much, you know, I mean, we're really fortunate where we live. You know, this is more in like the inner cities and so forth.
Right.
We have so much. I mean, I have camera access to my son all day.
That's excellent. Wow. That's very good.
It is. It's really nice. And, but yeah, like I see this on social media, and it's not uncommon. Like it's not uncommon to where you see these kids are being handcuffed to chairs.
Yeah.
And put in isolation rooms.
Right.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying yes. And I mean, I'm going to go through the names of the states where this is going on, and then I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in different states that may be more unique to that state. But the states where students are still being beaten by teachers are the following. We have South Carolina, we have Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Texas, Colorado, Wyoming, Arizona, Indiana, Mississippi. And we almost had one of our U.S. territories banned fairly recently, which would have been St. Croix. But the thing that I want to mention about each one of these states that I just read, number one, I'm going to tell you the states that actually have laws to ban this practice, and all they need are people in these different states to be a voice for them. And before I read them, I do want to mention that I have campaigned in at least a dozen or more states by now. And when I campaign and when I've been with other activists, the common thing we hear is that that they will say to us is, we don't care about your voice. We care about the people in our state's voice. For example, a lot of the time that I traveled, at that time I was living in either California or I was living in Hawaii, and I was traveling to these mostly Southern Belt states. And, you know, they would be like, we don't really care. You could go. We don't care what you have to say. We're totally unresponsive to activists. If the people in our state are not speaking out, we don't care what you have to say. Now, let's say, for example, Florida. Florida has a bill. Do we have a voice down there? No. How about Alabama? Do we have voices? No. I've been to a lot of these states and have been unable to make a difference because the people in each state are quiet. The people are quiet in these states. We have a bill in Kentucky. There's silence. We have Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas has a bill. Colorado has a bill. Arizona has a bill. St. Croix has a bill. Mississippi has a bill. Now, I'm going to tell you something a little unique about Missouri and the state of Mississippi. Both of those states actually have bills that are already crafted and have actually gone through legislation to ban this practice, Missouri and Mississippi. The people don't know about it. So the beatings are still going on. I have a copy of the legislation for Mississippi that has already passed to ban corporal punishment in Mississippi, but because the people don't know, they still are beating our children. And the same with Missouri. Texas has a bill. Former, I don't think she's still active there, but Alma Allen had a bill that she submitted and didn't receive support there. Colorado has a bill recently. Arizona, I mean, I've been to these states. I've been to